Hey, I thought I'd make a quick video, given it's the end of the year, to give you a bit of an update on what's been happening with Scion. So I'm pretty much done with the firmware for all the features that I want for V1. I've been developing that firmware against sort of my evaluation board and DACs and ADCs that are all cobbled together. So the next major step is doing the next revision of the hardware. So a circuit board that's fully integrated, that will be the board that's the basis of the test sort of beta units. If you want to learn more about the beta program, go to superchromat.com and look up about the beta program there. So with sort of the firmware done, I've spent a fair amount of time writing a custom sort of calibration suite for calibrating timing and analog levels and all that sort of stuff. I might do a separate video on that. It was pretty interesting, the tools that I was using and the software that I wrote for that. But with sort of calibration done, with firmware done, the next thing that I was doing was going back to the client application, which is a Flutter application, so it'll run on Mac, PC, tablets, that sort of stuff, and giving that a bit of a spit and a polish and making it look a little nicer. So I've gone through and added a bit more styling, some icons and things like that. But one thing that I spent a long time on was this thing down here. So the idea is that in analog video, you typically send video signals over sort of YUV or the RGB color spaces. So you've got three analog channels and you map them to red, green, and blue, or sort of brightness minus blue, and brightness minus red as being sort of the YUV channels. And you see here, as I switch back and forth, the video you're seeing of myself is coming through the Scion. As I switch back and forth between YUV and RGB, there's a little bit of a flicker as it resets. I'm debating whether or not I want to hide that flicker, but right now I'm just keeping it in. But the video looks the same. It doesn't matter what color space you're in, as long as you've chosen a sane color space. RGB, YUV, it doesn't matter. But I want to give people the ability to have custom color spaces. The reason for that is when you're messing around with video signals in the analog domain, you might generate some crosstalk between the different channels, or you might lose a channel. And typically when that happens, the colors of the effects that you get, the glitches that you get, are determined by the color space. So we're in RGB right now, and if I pull out one of the channels, you get that sort of look. If I switch two channels around, you'll get another look. And you can't change what those looks are because it's baked into the color space. So I wanted to give people the opportunity to pick their own color space. And in the old version of the application, there was just a matrix here where you could type in sort of matrix coefficients and you could end up with a new color space conversion matrix. And that wasn't very intuitive. So I wanted to investigate a user experience and UI that lets people pick new primaries for their color space to have interesting effects. So here we are in RGB. You can see the channel 1 is red with red 100, green and blue are our three channels. Here we have color wheels. I originally started with HSV color wheels because I thought that would look nice, but it turns out mathematically that's problematic for the UX that I want to look at, because if you look here, let's take the YUV color space. We've got the Y being luminance, which is basically all the channels summed together. Channel 2 is a super blue. It is greater than 1. This polygon that you see here is the unit boundary in this color space for RGB values that are between 0 and 1. And the red here is a super red minus some green. Here it's a super blue minus some green. So an HSV color wheel doesn't work for that. The other big problem that I had to solve, and this is honestly where I had to dig up a lot of my vector calculus, linear algebra, and numerical analysis stuff, is let's say, okay, we're in RGB. What if I picked first channel red, second channel red, and third channel blue? There'd be no way to represent the color green, because there's no way that you can have a vector that's orthogonal to those other bases that represents something that's not, anyway, in that basis space. So I'm including here these danger zones here. You'll see here that on the red channel, you can move it to anything pretty much that you want over here. We're now in the custom color space. And you see that while I move it around, there's some glitching that's happening on the screen, but when it settles down, the picture is identical, even though we're not in the original color space. But doesn't want you to choose a blue and it doesn't want you to choose a green, because then you'd lose that orthogonal vectors for the basis of the color space. But we could pick something over here if we wanted. And again, the picture looks good. You see these interesting shapes that appear. There are sort of two determinants of that shape. One is this quartic relationship that comes from looking at the condition number of the matrix. And that was a bunch of linear algebra there. And you see kappa there, the condition number of 3. That's a good condition number. But then you get these massive sort of nonlinearities that come from the fact that we're doing integer math in sort of rational 13s or Q13s, sorry, that leads to these nonlinear effects whereby you can have a decent condition number, but you can have numbers that aren't easily represented, so you can't get a good matrix inverse. This is super nerdy, and I enjoyed doing this so much, but it was also super frustrating to get the math right. But, you know, the point is that you can pick things that are in this good region, and you can change the shape of that region by changing sort of the brightness level here. And if you're looking at the picture of me, I look the same. So why have I done all this math if it just looks the same? Well, let's unplug one of the channels, and I look different. So now we're only going 2 channels, but I sort of haven't been paying attention to what knobs I've been tweaking here. But you'll see as I move around, here we're changing the colors that are being represented in the analog signal that we're sending out. And the signal looks pretty dark over there. But you can pick your own primaries. So now we're in the green, magenta, cyan color space. And we can tweak it around a bit more. And we can do other things. Anyway, the point is, so let's go back to green, magenta, cyan color space. If we plug the channel back in on the analog to digital converter, we're back to normal. Like, we're in green, magenta, cyan. But when you do the matrix transformation, then you do the inverse, as long as you're not in the danger zone, you'll get the right thing back. So what happens if you go in the danger zone? Well, I'm not blocking you. I'm just showing that you shouldn't. We get some really weird things. There are some spots where it just can't make it happen. But there are other spots where you get interesting, weird effects that you can play with, so you can move back out of the danger zone. Anyway, this has been super nerdy and super fun. I'm hoping that this is an intuitive UX for picking your own color primaries. It's a highly nonlinear space. I've got some improvements to do. You can see it's kind of jittery on the output as these changes. I've got to do some optimization there. But this is really cool, I think. Breaking free from RGB and YUV, because why the hell not? Anyway, it's a crazy world that we're all living in right now. I hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday season, a wonderful New Year period. I should have the next boards done in the next couple of months, and we'll be beginning the beta tests after that. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch up soon. See ya.